Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. Welcome to the S.O.S, the shout out show. I'm your host, Preacher Moss. Today's episode, we're actually going to spend a time on someone, a musician, a creative, a fellow creative, a rapper, a DJ, an actor, a businessman, all these things. One of my favorite rappers, Biz Markie. Now, better known as Marcel Theo Hall out of Long Island, New York. I I'm thinking about this topic. I've been thinking about it all day. And very rarely do you have musicians that they start around your age and then they, unfortunately, when they pass away, you have a relationship. And this is not to even say that he's the only rapper that and it's weird. I saw an Instagram post by Public Enemy's Chuck D, and he listed that there are 9 MCs that have passed away since the end of December. Think about that. Since December, we've lost 9 classic MCs, among the MC Doom, Gift of Gab, Black Rob, Prince Marky D. We lost a lot of folks. And so for today, I thought it'd be interesting if we actually took up the mantra and we celebrated this one guy. So I'm going to talk about why Biz Markie was um, special to me. I think he's really special because I never got to meet the guy. We live vicariously through his music. He had a couple things that I noticed when I was younger, and it was just, this was a guy who made the most out of whatever was given to him in terms of rap music. I remember him with Roxanne Shante, and there was a documentary out in 1986, and he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. He just came on and he did the beatbox. And when he did the beatbox, he kind of stole the show a little bit, but he had the humility to give it back to Roxanne Shante because she was bringing him on. And in that time in 86, we all kind of said, you know what? There's something about that guy. He would always have on the hat, Biz Markie hat. I remember watching Rock Bass and Easy Rock do the song, It Takes Two to Make a Thing Go Right. And then the end of it, he was in this powder blue sweatsuit with the Biz Markie hat. And I kept saying, who is this Biz Markie guy? He looked kind of wild. He looked kind of, I want to say, unhinged. But the thing I remember was whenever I caught this guy, he was having fun. I do the copyright rules and all that type of stuff. I'm not even going to try to put his music up because, he had, first of all, he had a catalog of records. I'm among folks just like everybody here. He didn't do 20, 30 albums. He did like 4. One of his landmark albums turned out to be a case about trademark infringement. You all know that story. He was the reason why, now he had to get a sample cleared. That wasn't the point, though. My point was, this is a guy who, for several generations of us, kept us entertained. And he was approachable. When you watch the memorials roll in for Biz Markie, what is interesting is you can't find anybody have beef with this guy. You don't have people going, oh, I wish I could have worked this out before we had these problems. Because he made, whatever he did, he made it seem like he didn't have a care in the world, knowing that he definitely cared. So for this half hour, we're not going to do an hour, but just for this little bit of time, I just wanted to kind of celebrate Biz Markie. I'm going to ask you to get into the comments section and express yourself. I have some people coming in some comments already. There were a lot of things about Biz Markie that I remember, and it's interesting to have somebody that landmarks that it's the soundtrack of your youth. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. It's the soundtrack of your youth. That's what Biz Markie gave myself and countless others. Myself, my cousins, we lived to see what Biz Markie was going to do next, whether it was the Biz Markie dance, or Nobody Beats the Biz, or Just a Friend, or Spring Again, or Let Me Turn You On, which was like a Barry White thing, but he had the sample from Ain't No Stopping Us Now, and it was just kind of like uplifting. So I'm going to get ready for it. Let's go ahead and start the show. We're going to roll this out because nobody beats the Biz. Hit it. What's up, family? We are back. Getting ready to roll this out. Remembering the magnificent Biz Markie, or the image of ARKIE, my main man. You know, we're gonna get into this, and if anybody's coming on the show for the first time, maybe you should take a look at this guy, Biz Markie. If you get a chance, go to Wikipedia or something like that. And I just want you to read what he did in terms of music. And you can talk about his importance in music, but beyond the music, I think it's really, really important to talk about how relevant this guy was, how accessible this guy was. He was doing things way back when folks, we wore the gold chains and stuff like that, or we wanted to wear the gold chains and stuff like that. But there was an authenticity to Biz Markie. He came up in an era of hip hop that I'd still call the golden era back in the '80s, whereby everybody Yo, assalamu alaikum. I'm Preacher Moss, comedian extraordinaire, but I like to add a new title to my name. I'm Professor Preacher Moss. You know why? Because I just graduated. Wait a minute, let me get this out of here. This is it. Okay. Um, I'm Professor Preacher Moss, and it's come through the courtesy and the blessing of the Muhammad Ali Scholarship, which came through Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Now, listen, I know a lot of you people are thinking, can I do it? Yes, you can do it. This is the part where I know I'm supposed to say it's easy. It's not easy. Listen, it was easy to get this degree. Trump would be a mufti. I digress. Listen though, for you brothers and sisters that are interested, go to bayanonline.org and you could be like me. Put yourself in the picture for Islamic education. Wait a minute, there's a picture right there. Sound like everybody. Take care. Preach them off. Okay, we're back. All right, family, we are back. Not exactly sure what's going on, but just because it's Biz Markie, I'm actually going to use a hotspot on my phone. Thank you, Biz. So I will work out the Wi-Fi issues later, but for the Biz Markie, we're gonna give it to you right now. Brothers and sisters, let me tell y'all something about artists. Let me tell you about artists. Artists are people with these creative narratives that it's like it's like prison. They got to bust out. They can't stay hidden. They can't remain obscure or anything like that. You're gonna have talents, just like athletic talents. They're revealed to people before they're really revealed to the person that has the talent. And I felt that way about Biz Markie, that his talent was revealed to everyone else before he really understood. Man, I'm really on to something. Because when you watch the interviews, he never really beat his chest like I'm this, I'm the best, I'm the greatest. He said songs like I am the magnificent. He never said I am the best. He said, just a friend. He didn't say, I'm the best man for you. He gave us a situation scenario that was relatable. Potentially one of the most relatable comedians. I mean, I say comedians. Yeah, let's throw that out there too. Biz Markie was a rapper that made you laugh. I mean, he had a funny look. He was a funny looking dude, and we laughed. He had a funny sound. He laughed. And we laughed. He had the beatbox and he made us laugh. He knew how to start a party. Now let's just put that out there. He was the ultimate party starter. So when he got into DJing, it was really not a surprise. He was a collector of music. He had potentially one of the most fine-tuned musical ears in the hip hop community in terms of collecting music to put on a turntable, to make an album, to produce records, to produce sounds. So I meditate on that. If you, particularly with this, if you're coming on the show for the first time, We're talking about the magnificent Biz Markie. Um, in my estimation, one of the greatest MCs we ever had. Okay, because you can break it down. And was he lyrical? Was he political? He was none of that. Was he a smooth talker? Was he a drug dealer? He was none of that. He was unquestionably and without, um, I would say unquestionably, he was himself. He grew into his music. So, if you like, if you're coming on the show for the first time, we got a lot of show. I normally go into a whole lot of stuff. Let's just hang in, hang out. The people who I'm going to bring in really quickly, those are the folks that you should probably fall suit. Let's give a shout out real quickly to our folks on in the queue. Who we got here? We got Sister Ree. Hello to you, Sister Ree. We hope that you are recuperating from getting back from Miami. I know you've done some good work. You actually done some nursemaid work, some caregiver work. God bless you, making sure your friend was okay after her surgery. We're always happy to have you on the show. Thank you so much. Next up, Brother Altoff, Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down, always on time for the shout out show. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Brother Altoff. We appreciate it. Altoff, I don't know if you ever get heard of the Biz Markie, but if not, up in Canada, I want you to do your homework. This is one of the greatest MCs in the world. And I'm actually going to tell people, I'm going to tell some people why, but I'm going to remind some people why as well. Inshallah. Inshallah. Next up, we got Sister Aika. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Aika's family is recovering from COVID. Like I said, let's make sure that we keep her in our du'as and hopes everybody has a speedy recovery and Allah gives them shifa. Very important, very important. Next up, oh, I know my brother here, Johnny L. Thomas. He and I were talking about the Biz when Biz passed away. One of the greatest MCs ever. I don't think it's a debate. I don't think it's a debate. I think it's a very clear argument. And I'm going to make some correlations about Biz and some other people who we've recently had to, we had to grieve. But I think the thing that I talked about earlier was really important, that whether we recognize this or not, Biz Markie, there's a group of people. You go on Instagram, look at Chuck D's Instagram page, and then we've lost 9 classic MCs. Biz being the ninth. Like I said, MC Doom, who I love. He does one of my favorite songs. Rap Snitches Connitches. I love that song. Uh, Prince Marky D from the Fat Boys. I love that guy. A Gift of Gab, Black Rob. I mean, we have other ones on there. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, these are people that I've actually watched a Black Rob video. I watched Whoa, the original Whoa video. I was like, you know what? He might have been a one hit wonder, but this guy, he had something. Now, Biz Markie, brothers and sisters, and wa alaikum assalam to you, little brother. I'm gonna get into this Biz Markie piece. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And we don't want to forget Sister Satana. I know she knows about Biz Markie. She was up there in that New Jersey area. If you don't know about Biz Markie and you up in New York and New Jersey, you probably just moved there last week. That's all I'm gonna say and leave it at that. Let me tell you why Biz Markie will be and will go down as one of the greatest MCs ever. The first time I saw a picture of Biz Markie rap, I was with somebody and we watched him talk. He suffered from a condition called microglycia. Microglycia. And what microglycia is that you have an enlarged tongue. So when you would see him rap or talk, the elongation of his jaw was to allow for air and to be able to speak with confidence, if you will. His tongue and all of that. Have you ever had he had a heavy tongue. That's what old folks say. Boy, you got a heavy tongue. Have you ever had a girl that you tried to date? That was it. Radio, TV, and even the press. He was moving his tongue around. And when I first saw it, I said, how can this guy be so prolific, so talented, so consistent, having to move that tongue around? When I was a school teacher, I would actually think of Biz Markie when I take kids to speech class because the microglycia it's a speech impediment, and he probably spent years going to speech class trying to learn that. And you would think, something like that would take away from your confidence. It did not take away from his confidence. I think it boosted it. Because in the era of the 80s, 86, Roxanne Shante, 87, 88, you know, you're talking MCs like MC Shan, you're talking Big Daddy Kane, Cool G Rap, Craig G. You're talking about all these folks. And this guy stood out. I always get upset. They had a compilation. It's called The Symphony, and they had all the guys from I forget the crew name, Cold Chillin'. They had all the guys from Cold Chillin', and they didn't put Biz in Cold Chillin'. I was so upset. I thought he would have turned it out, but they didn't because Biz had his own style. Biz had his own style. I always talk about in business. My version to certain things in business that I really don't like the whole idea of market competition. I like market creation. Biz Markie was probably the earliest representation for me in rap about market competition and market creation. If you notice, he was never in competition with anybody. Even with the beatbox people, the human beatbox, Dougie Fresh, he was never in competition with those guys. He never had to put out a diss record. He never had to worry about being in because he was just so unique. And that uniqueness was relatable. I earlier said I never met the man, but I met his music. And I'm going to say something about his music. There was two songs that came out in 1988. One I love, one I hated. One I love, one I hated. Now I'm a better person. I'm a better person about this. So please give me latitude. Give me a little patience here. In 1988, I graduated from Marquette University. I had my degree in hand. I came home to DC. I was a graduate. I had a degree in broadcast journalism, a minor in film. I was going to take over the world. After about 2 months of looking for work and not taking over the world, I found myself at a construction site, digging a ditch, laying a spot for cable. Oh, it gets better. That was my day job. My night job was a job my Uncle Reggie had got me. May Allah be pleased with him. Working nights at a group home with adjudicated kids during the crack wars of 1988. So I had two full-time jobs that I hated the hell out of. I worked construction till 5, drove home, slept at 6, got up at 11:15, showered, and went to another job that I hated. My life was not in a good place. No, and I wasn't telling jokes either. I'd be telling jokes in the ditch with a shovel in hand. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. Telling jokes with a shovel in your hand around other people's shovels in the hand, it's a horrible audience. So there I was one day, sitting with some Mexican dude I didn't know. And that's when I used to eat off the Mexican food truck. I don't know what they had in there. It was just we never worked close enough to a place where you went on lunch because you only got 30 minutes. You spend 30 minutes going to the place, and then you be trying to eat all your food in your car with 2 minutes left. I'm giving you the picture, brothers and sisters. I'm sitting on the roadside, digging a ditch, hating life, hating everybody around me. And I heard Bobby McFerrin's song, Don't Worry, Be Happy. Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to learn it note for note. Don't worry, be happy. I was like, I want to kill that Negro. Does he not know that I'm in a ditch with a college degree? I was like, ah, and it was the number one hit. Kill me. That's the song I hated. Now, let me tell you, Bobby McFerrin is incredibly talented. I was just in a bad way. Don't nobody want to hear that. I'm sitting with people who I'm watching a guy who just got his stuff pulled out, and here's the song. Don't worry. I'm no Bobby. I'm not happy. I am worried. Thank you very much. But then there was a song one day, and I heard it bumping out of this drug dealer's car. And I'm like, look at the drug dealer making all that money, pretty girls, and here I am covered in mud with a shovel. Thank goodness. And I heard this thing, radio, TV, and even the press wants to know the meaning of VAPORS. The meaning of this word, without a doubt, means nobody want to be down when you're down or out. Now, once you're established and got a lot of money, everybody want to be your buddy, honey. Like tall buildings that call skyscrapers. Skipper, 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 skipper. Can you feel it? Nothing can save you, because this is the season of catching the vapors. And in that song, he talked about all his homies that were just like me in the ditch at one point in time, and how they all came up. Now, here's the deal. They didn't come up on drugs. They didn't come up on crime. They came up together with this whole idea that the music would take them places. And if you ever saw him perform at the Apollo, please go. I can't show it on here because they will cut it off, cut the program off. But you see him at the Apollo doing Just a Friend. It's spring again. And he brought the house down. I'm talking about a live Biz Markie show is nothing that you wanted to miss, brothers and sisters. And at every point in time, he worked hard to make sure that the crowd had more fun than he did. And so, years later, in my travails of trying to be a comedian, every time I had a hard time, every time I lost a gig, every time I got passed over because I didn't do this, I remember being passed over for Def Jam. I was Muslim at the time. I remember putting out a heck of a show. And the question was, can you dirty it up? And at that point in time, I was like, no, because people going to see me. Can I just be funny? And they said no, and they passed on me. I believe, to me, the Vapors, in some regards, it was like an anthem, but to me, it was like a hood nasheed, if you will. I say a hood nasheed because there was no cursing in it. It was about belief. It's about faith, And even now, when I listen to the Vapors, when things are good, it takes me back to a place they weren't so good. And I don't mind going back to that place because it's a place of appreciation. When Kobe Bryant passed away, everybody had a Kobe Bryant story. And like a lot of folks, I was sad he passed as a creative. But the difference between Kobe Bryant and Biz Markie is that Kobe Bryant sacrificed so much to get to where he was. When I say sacrifice friends, relationships, opportunities. He alienated himself. He made basketball the number one thing to be the best at basketball. Biz Markie, in his music, he didn't sacrifice that. We literally got a fair exchange. Meaning, if you walk around New York City and you talk to people like Sadat X or LL Cool J or Fat Joe, I saw an interview of Fat Joe speaking about Biz Markie. And he talks about how Biz Markie gave him a shot, how he lifted him up. He didn't have to do it, brothers and sisters. He didn't have to do it. And even in his music, he didn't have to do it. He could have bragged on himself. Listen, everybody knows that The Vapors was written by Big Daddy Kane. He also wrote Picking Boogers too, but that's a whole nother song. Hey mom, what's for dinner? Go up your nose and pick a winner. All right, I had to get that out. But even Big Daddy Kane says, here I was trying to get a deal. Nobody would give me something. He said, I go to Albee Square Mall and I convinced a stranger to give me a rap battle. And after that, the stranger goes, you pretty dope. Stick with me and I'm going to get you a record deal. That man was Biz Markie. And I want you to hear the texture of the story. Even then, at 20 some years old, or 23 years old, or 24 years old, Biz Markie is not concerned with market competition. Everybody knows that rap is about competition. I got to be better than you. I got to be better than you. I got to be better than you. He, at this age, do you understand what I'm saying? He comes out of an era where you had gangster rap, you had drug music, you had violent music, you had political rap, and he managed to stay in his lane and expand it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the Fat Boys, but the thing about the Fat Boys is what they talked about being fat. They talked about food, and I'm not even gonna trip on that. They talked about food. That was their thing. But in the end, it was like, what else can you talk about? How else are you relatable to this? They talked about the physical condition. I don't know how Biz Markie does this thing, but he puts a little spirit in everybody. Just a little tweak to make sure you laughed. He talks about heartbreak in Just a Friend. If anybody had a boyfriend, girlfriend, and you find out, hey, it ain't working out, or not that they're leaving you, but they cheating on you, ain't no way in the world you could laugh at that. But watching Biz Markie in that white powder wig sing, you got what I need. I remember my dad said, who the hell is that? And I said, that's big. He said, what? He said, what is wrong with that boy? And I said, absolutely nothing. Biz Markie is my generation's. He's a rock star. He's a rock star. But he's the best kind of rock star. Because he didn't know he was a rock star. He was the people's champion for a lot of us. I'm 54, but you go back 10 years, everybody remembers Biz Markie. His songs playing Papa John commercials and beer commercials, brothers and sisters. And even though he remembers that, if there's an interview on Questlove's podcast show, and Biz Markie talks about the song "Just a Friend." Now, I earlier said this guy's his musical mind was encyclopedic. He can figure out a sample. They used to do a thing called name the sample. He could name samples from all over. It's estimated that he had the largest record collection, collectibles, all that type of stuff. He had a whole house full of. He bought a house just for his collectibles, right? Also, he was one of the first rappers that got into real estate. Just so you know that. So he wasn't a broke rapper, just so you guys know. But the interesting thing of Biz Markie, when he talked about that thing, he said for Just a Friend, he had figured out the beat, he figured out the rhyme. He said, but he couldn't get anybody to sing the hook. He couldn't get anybody to sing the hook. And when he sang when he sang that, somewhere in that space, though it sounds out of tune, ironically, it stays in key. And when the drum boom, ta, boom, boom, when it comes in, he's ironically in key. It may not be the way you want to hear it, but it was the way we were supposed to hear it. And ironically, the way Biz Markie was presented to us, maybe it's not the way we wanted it, but it was the way we needed it. Maybe those songs like "It's Spring Again" and Picking Boogers, Just a Friend, The Vapors, Nobody Beats the Biz, uh, the Bismarck Dance, all of these things, brothers and sisters, man, they came right on time. Right on time. And you can hear it anywhere at the time you needed it best. Whether you were at work, at a bad job, or in my case, working two bad jobs. It made the moment it made the moment memorable, but also made it relatable. Because I'm going, that's a guy who has a tongue that's too large for his mouth, and he's still speaking to me. And I love it. And for all of that, brothers and sisters, if you don't know the biz, investigate in his music. Invest in his music. He needs to be one of those people after he passes away, people go and download all his music. Not for the money, but for the education and the inspiration and aspiration. Marcel Theo Hall, on behalf of myself and everybody else like myself, who are digging ditches, had big dreams, and say, I'm not going to be a ditch digger long. I'm going to do this. And we couldn't wait to give people the vapors. I say thank you. May Allah be pleased with you. And when the gates open up, don't see him picking boogers. That's our show, brothers and sisters. Peace to brother Biz Markie. Let's get our sponsors out. We give a shout out to BeFinancialIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinancialIndependent.com. You call 1-888-496-6845. Again, that's 1-888-496-6845. All right. We also want to give a shout out to Bayan Islamic Graduate School. You can go to bayanonline.org. Again, that's bayanonline.org. Make sure you check them out. Go to the website. I tell people, if you're thinking about getting a quality graduate level education and trying to expand your Islamic knowledge, Islamic intellect, if you will, they are the place for you. I'm not a person that's actually promoting them. They're not paying myself. They're not paying the shout out show. It's just that I think they're important. So I'm going to make sure that we shout them out appropriately. All right. So check them out. Other than that, while I was extremely sad to hear about the passing of Biz Markie, I was inspired because I saw a guy live his dreams. I saw a guy happy. Every picture you see him take, he's smiling, and the people around him are smiling. I think that's the thing you should know about. The people around him are smiling. I saw a picture of him with his wife, and all the pictures, you know what? She's smiling, and I'm saying that must have been a heck of a marriage because that guy, as much as he loved people, I know he loved his wife. And from that, brothers and sisters, that's our show. I hope to see you tomorrow on Mo Better Mondays. Thank you for engaging me on one of my favorite rap guys. Now I say favorite rap guys. You guys know I have very, very discriminating taste, but Biz Markie is top 5. Okay, I mean he's in the league with Rakim, Chuck D. He's in the top 5, and I'm telling you why, brothers and sisters. It will never have another Biz Markie again. So, with that, you might want to go ahead and download that stuff from Apple Music or go on YouTube and relive the experience. That's our show. Take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Nobody beats the biz.